Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to our celebration of 500 episodes. It's something I never thought I'd see, but yet here we are. And a lot of the folks that helped us get here have joined us, and we probably will have a couple more folks jump in throughout the show. We're going to do a little different than we normally do. I want to talk some stuff. Like I got Stan for a very limited amount of time, so I want to talk some stuff with him and Matt and Blaine, I want to respect their time. So we may bounce around a little bit, but we've got a lot of big issues to talk about. The world is literally almost like we've been talking about this stuff for the last, 4 years now. And somebody said, like, God's actually listening to us, unfortunately, because I'd be very happy to have no more future conflict, but alas, that's not where we are. Gentlemen, let's go around the horn real quick. Joe, how you doing, brother?
I am well and good, tucked away in the fields of the Duchy, and enjoying it, having a good time up there. I wanted to share something really fast. I know we got a $50 one over there, but
yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we'll go around the horn first, and then we'll get to it.
Share this screen real quick because Doc Teddy Bear got his limited edition shirt and some artwork. So if we want to throw that up there and let everyone see the brilliant, beautiful artwork that I gave to Doc Teddy Bear. It's a photo of him and Stella on patrol. Many of you have met Stella the dog, the tactical corgi, and there it is. So, hey, get your shirt yourself. Check out tactical-wisdom.com and come on out because Matt is coming out here in just a few weeks, and we are going to have a wild week hanging out, all the things in Montana. So.
Great segue, Matt. It's been too long, brother. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm here.
I've been enjoying watching your. You've been streaming live on X, and I catch it sometimes at work because we have issues streaming YouTube sometimes where I work, but at X.com tends to come in, so it's very cool.
Well, thanks. Yeah, it's it's been rocking and rolling right now. People are wanting to buy all the things. The economic news is not good, and it ain't going to get any better. And the geopolitical picture is looking spicy, to say the least. So, a lot of people are. I think the Trump slump of the post-election era is now over. People are waking back up. You need to be faced with the reality of where all this is going. And I'm going to be back on the air on Monday. Had classes wrapped up. I've had a bunch of things going on my end, and if I can't crank out the best quality show, then I'm not going to do it. But also kind of reading the tea leaves on all this. My initial assessment on all these things hasn't been wrong yet. And doesn't matter how much flack people are throwing at me online. I'm telling you like it is, how I see it. These things are going to crush small businesses in America. But
it's definitely going to be some tough times for a lot of people, but not just Americans. So, speaking of a man who knows a little bit about tough times, Stan, welcome, brother. It's been too long.
Good to see you guys, and congratulations on number 500.
Thank you, man.
That's quite a milestone. So you're to be commended.
Yeah, well, you just keep plugging away. That's
the secret.
Come along with
Put your head down.
Us and saying, "Gosh, people actually watch you guys." Remember that stuff?
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh! Yeah. I just remember my daughter being so crazy. Like, oh my god, the guys at my school thought your thumbnails are so cool. I was like, yeah, your dad's. Your dad has an audience.
I want to say a couple of things here. First of all, thank you to everybody in the chat who's said welcome back. Secondly, the guy who said we should have Patrick Fox on needs to be banned for life. Okay,
yeah, I was going to mention that.
That's just my 2 cents, whatever that's worth. I'm not a regular anymore, but I think that's a hanging offense. I don't
That's a
know.
moment we should have had on here was first the moment when Matt went off on him, and then followed immediately by the moment when Stan went off on him. That would have been
That's
a
right.
perfect 500th episode.
That would have been
He's
classic.
busy guarding a fucking gate somewhere, giving us
Yeah.
combat experience.
You know, I haven't seen old Patrick Fox on the X's in a while. I'm just saying.
I think he's moved over to Blue Sky, but I'm not sure.
Well, it's a busy time at Advanced Auto Parts right now. So.
Oh.
Ouch! I felt
So
that.
those of you, it was AutoZone, but that's okay. Senility creeps up on everybody.
You know what? Let's stab the man with his own knife, a partisan field knife. Shield.
There you go. So, anyhow.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you.
If we would have had any foresight at all, we could have launched a celebratory 500 episode laser etched field knife.
Yeah.
Only the best field knife. This is what I use. I'm slashing the globals.
Going from talking about a man with no audience to a man with a huge audience, Blaine, Mr. Blaine Pardo, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. Cranking out books. I was on Detective Joe Kenda's show for the premiere of the new season. 2-hour special on the Colonial Parkway murders, which I wrote a book about. So yeah, it's been. I'm working on Tenure 3 with Mike Barron, and working on a new Land and Sea series, and got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, you know, the one nice thing, everybody in our circle tends to stay busy. You know, there's no lack of, there's nobody just hanging around saying, "Oh, I got time." Well, everybody's busy. What's that?
Except Sibley.
Well, you know, I mean, Sibley's orchestrating an entire universe over there.
Well, hold on. Well, apparently he's got an action figure out now, don't you know?
Oh yeah, the Sibley figure.
Yeah, I'll grab it. Yeah, keep going.
Well. Anyway, so Blaine,
what is it? I've lost track of the Sibleyverse. So what the action figures? What, a small dog or what?
Well, here you go.
Well,
here.
He's gotten smart, and he's created a. Oh boy,
there is a small dog. Yeah,
he's created a new.
You'll notice that
everybody else is doing the work, and he's just collecting the money somehow. So
yeah.
Kind of cool.
Yeah, the blank pages.
Yeah, you'll notice that all the pages are blank.
It really is. This is a Harvard case study. It really is a Harvard case study on how far you can manipulate the grift by not doing anything. Right.
I
mean, it's just you write 2/3 of a book. It's pretty good, and people hang around and pay you to do stuff for another 3 years. Right.
Yeah. I've been doing it wrong all along. I actually just write the damn books.
Well, yeah. Although I think that Blaine is actually Grok. I think that he's the first sentient AI in terms of the ability just to spit stuff out. So it's amazing to me.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. Sean, welcome to the show, my friend. How are things in the legal world?
Oh, it's been great. It's been amazing. You know, nothing like loving the Supreme Court lately.
Yeah.
No, but other than that, congratulations, 500 shows, guys. And hey, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Hope you guys are all doing well.
Appreciate it. But glad you could make it.
Yeah,
we're going to have a lot to talk about today, and a lot of smart people to do it with. And Watcher, last but not least, how are things going?
Yeah, Scott, I'm doing great, man. This is a good moment for me. I'm happy we've made it to 500, and here's to another 500. And there's some faces that I haven't seen in a while, and I'm certainly happy to see. So, yeah, I'm great. And my quail eggs just went into lockdown, so we'll see how badly I screwed that up.
Oh well, that should be good. Real quickly, before we jump into anything, I've got a couple super chats and stuff. So first off, Hunch the Dirty Roofer gifted 10 subs over on Rumble. Thank you very much, brother. wouldn't be a party without you here. So glad you could make it. Rowan Court for $50 says, here's to 500 episodes and Joe putting up with my shenanigans. Keep up the great work, guys. And we appreciate you, brother. Bigot 599 for $50 says, congrats on show 500. Here's to 5,000 more, where the only topic will be about the one who makes the best adult diapers. I mean, that's a legitimate topic for discussion for certain folks out there.
And Hunch gifted 10 memberships on Rumble. So
that was the first one I mentioned.
Oh,
so
I guess
thank you.
I wouldn't say I wasn't listening to you, Scott, but
I can't imagine you weren't typing this into the chat when I was saying that. So
oh yes, I was typing. They look just like Matt. You should have bought that.
All right. Anyway, before we get into the kind of the big news of the world, this group is a big part of what made our first get together so special. Blaine was there, Joe was there, and there was something came across my timeline the other day because there's been some flooding in Louisville, and I wanted to share this video real quick because it just so happens this restaurant in the video. Watcher, you've got the link. It's in the show prep notes. It's number 2 on the odds and ends. If you could just share that. Yep, you got it. This is the restaurant where we had our meetup, and if I'm correct, that's the room that we were in right there. It's just on the other side of the fireplace here.
Yeah.
And so what they did, so the river was rising. So what they did was they filled the entire restaurant full of fresh water from the faucets and everything like that. And it keeps the muddy water out, the muddy floodwaters out. And so they were doing a news story on this. And this is Athens Quarter Restaurant.
I have to say, I think it's smart. Big brain move. I will say somewhat undercut by the fact that you shared it and now your insurance will deny your claim.
I don't know about that.
That's a very good point. That's a very, very good point.
Well, I mean, it's less damage and it was still flooded out. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I hope you cleared that with this insurance company ahead of time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, though. It's be smart, good, just also be quiet.
Yes, because your insurance company might go, oh, wow, look at that.
I guess rather than everything being broken and dirty, it's now broken and clean.
My guess is that this is like a contingency plan that they had already kind of come up with, and it's probably not the first time they've done it.
I'm kind of impressed that their doors are that airtight.
Same. I was just thinking the same thing, actually.
They can sustain a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And it's more about just it's like a negative pressure situation. They're just pushing so much. Well, I wonder how much.
When the same thing is going against each other, then it's it's pretty much a zero sum. They said that if it gets higher though, then the water will come in. So, Will Arm Corgi for 1999 says congratulations on 500. Thank you, brother. Nice to see all the names in the chat for people who have been around for a while. Folks like Stormy, look at that. Stormy showed up, taking a break from work. Karen's here. Lost Core, a lot of people. Jeanine Rogers, I haven't seen her name in a while. Cannon's here. Thank you, brother. So it's good to see a lot of you guys here. All right, let's jump into it, guys. This week has been a hell of a week, guys. My wife has literally like smacked me upside the head 5 or 6 times because we own stocks.
You had it coming. I'm sure you had it coming, right?
Well, you're not wrong, Stan. I mean, if it wasn't for one thing, it was for another. But that being said, it has definitely been a hell of a roller coaster ride this week. Stan, I'm going to throw to you just to kind of recap what's gone on. I mean, we had tariffs against the world, then they pulled it back, and now it's 145% against China. Matt was making a great point. Anybody who relies on any kind of foreign trade that comes through and or by China is fucked. What's the kind of what's the handicap on this?
I don't know that there is a handicap because I don't know where this is going, to be honest. And I think the only thing you can really count on is that you have to understand that Donald Trump, everything in his life is transactional. Okay, it's not policy driven; it's transactional driven because he's a real estate developer and he views everything in life as a real estate transaction. If you look at the negotiating patterns that he's displaying, it's that of a real estate deal. Maybe a really big real estate deal, but it's that of a real estate deal. And he's looking for leverage. He does outrageous things in order to put people off guard. If you think that small business is hurting here, I'd invite you to take a look at what's going to happen with various businesses in China, because that's where the real dislocation is going to occur, because they don't have the ability to continue to provide stimulus to that large segment. So if you've got suppliers in China, you may lose them entirely in the context of this, depending upon how long it goes on. If you're Walmart, you just cram it down their throat and they'll take it. But if you're Matt or if you're somebody else and you're relying on Chinese vendors, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough until this figures out. And this is just a stare down right now. It's an absolute stare down, and he's trying to get Xi to blink. And I don't know that Xi's going to blink. I think he's going to look for some other distraction, and maybe what we talked about earlier, maybe Taiwan, and maybe something else. Chinese are playing the long game. So we'll see.
One of the things that I've kind of noticed is that China doesn't really have the ability to respond on an economic level the way we do, but they sure as fuck can surround Taiwan and go into blockade mode, like something we talked about. I mean, you talked about on the 5th episode of the Privy Council when we've been talking about it on and off for the last 3 years here. What do you put the odds on that one being the way that they decide to respond?
I think they're going to let it play out a little longer. I think the thing that a lot of people aren't paying attention to is that the EU, instead of trying to figure out something to do with Trump and negotiate something as it relates to tariffs, the EU is going to send a delegation to Beijing to talk to China. That tells you everything you need to know about the EU.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think the Chinese are going to try to triangulate around what they're doing with the EU before they make a determination on what the ultimate response is going to be to Trump and Trump's tariffs and everything else. So we'll see.
Yeah. Now, Matt, you've talked about some of the kind of the asymmetric threats that China poses to the U.S. in a lot of different ways. Where do you kind of see in that crystal ball as far as ways they may hit us without us realizing?
So there's two primary ones. The first issue that's going to be immediate, and I'm talking about Main Street here. Besant's comments about this being Main Street's turn were absolutely bizarre to me. He needs to not speak. Until he can show results, he needs to not speak. And people would do very well to look into his history, who he is, and who he has worked for, and who he made very, very wealthy. That person would be George Soros. So everybody who's shouted me down or said things to me, you have no idea who you're praising right now. Because in the same breath, you're going to turn around and you'll praise, you'll deride George. Oh, George Soros is the devil. And I don't disagree, but you've literally let his high priest into the hen house. But that aside, there are two things that you need to understand here. One, oil is teetering around $60 a barrel, keeps going below it and above it. You do understand, for everybody who's oh man, this means there's going to be cheaper gas. No, that means that the oil companies are below their break-even point and they start capping wells. That's what's happening.
Yep.
Which means reduced availability, which means oil prices, your price at the pump is going to go up.
Yes.
All right. So this ties directly into what I'm about to explain to you. That means shipping costs go up. Shipping costs are passed directly on to the consumer. Okay. Not only that, every manufacturing process has some sort of tie to Chinese manufacturing in some way or another. This isn't up for debate, and I'm not sitting here arguing like what should be. Okay, it shouldn't be this way, but that ship sailed a long time ago. All right. And we did not do the necessary things that it was going to take to bring that manufacturing back to repatriate it. So because we did not do that previously, we weren't in the strongest position to begin this anyway. These policies were very short-sighted. So because of that, and taking that into consideration, you're going to see overnight a doubling of price. We're already seeing it, by the way, a doubling of price in small components that will absolutely trickle up to every part of the finished goods sector. This isn't about, some guy in North Carolina selling radios on top of everything. I'm talking about, okay, for example, I'm wearing Armacite t-shirt right now, right? They assemble their thermals in the United States. Okay. But they get their thermal core from France. The semiconductor components are coming from elsewhere, right? What I'm telling you is that every component in there is in some way or another going to be affected by this. This is the long-term problem. So for everybody out there that wants to comment, oh, that's just defeatist, they're panicking. No, first of all, that's not a word, and I'm sick and tired of made-up words becoming into the parlance. It's just stupid. You people are idiots. And you are regurgitating the United Steelworkers, United Auto Workers lines that were against NAFTA in 1996, by the way. You're regurgitating. There was a time then, that was 30 years ago. There was a time then that we could have reversed things and we didn't do it. And you're criticizing the essentially Smoot-Hawley 2.0. You're confusing that, which has a very strong historical precedent. Go look that one up. Most people are very, very not smart on these things and not historically astute. Go back and look at that and see exactly what happened. Okay. Here's what's going to happen. One of the big reasons that Donald Trump was strongly supported in the previous election by Main Street was because of the price that people had to pay on finished goods going up. Well, if you jack that price up even more, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to turn on him. They're already turning on him. You're already seeing that. And you couple that with complete failures everywhere else, policy failures. He can't even get his own judiciary in line. He can't get the Congress in line. He lets Kash Patel and Dan Bongino go on all these photo ops. They're not doing what they were hired to do. And I see somebody saying that was a response that didn't cause the depression. No, it led to 25% unemployment was what it did. That's what it did. And that's where we're headed. And here's the thing. You know what's going to happen in the midterms? The most unhinged leftists possible, the ones that you absolutely despise, and they hate you, by the way, they are going to get power, and they're going to get it back. The solution, by the way, I see a guy saying, oh, I'm a clown. Okay, good job, you. There you go. Spin on that one, asshole. So let me tell you something. The solution would have been a complete tax holiday on corporations to re-incentivize bringing this back to the United States. to ease EPA regulations, by the way, all of the red tape that it takes to build that, because you can't do this overnight. You can re-incentivize it, but you can't do that in 2-year cycles. What we've done now is we've literally popped the dam. And good luck. Revisit it. I hope that I'm wrong, and I hope all you people are right, because that means that spells out success, right? But judging by the bond market, don't look like that's so.
Yeah, I've been preaching that to the choir for the last 5 years now. Like, I hope I'm wrong about all the shit that's going on in the world around us. But, like Joe Stradamus has pointed out on many occasions before, we don't tend to be super wrong on this stuff. Blaine, I want to get you in here. What do you see kind of with this economy and the threats? Like, for me, I'm less worried about the economy, and I'm more worried about like what dumb people are going to do in the background, whether it's leftists in America, organizing for, violent protests this summer, or whether it's China doing stupid stuff around Taiwan because they don't feel like they can respond with their own tariffs. What's your kind of read on this?
Well, I think a lot's going to depend on, these alleged 70 countries who want to renegotiate and what those renegotiations look like. I don't know for sure where this is going to go, other than the left they have followed a pattern of everything that Donald Trump does is completely wrong. And anybody in their ranks who breaks with that, they turn on them. Look what they did with Gretchen Whitmer, who, by the way, it was a shocker, but she did the right thing by showing up at the White House and saying, yeah, I support this because, the UAW is in her state. That's where autos are made. And they turned on her instantly. She's now an outcast. They are going to take everything that Donald Trump does and flip it into something where they can push violence. But, what they've seen is it doesn't work. And people, have learned through the Tesla burnings, et cetera, it's not changing anything. It's if anything, it's dragging their own reputations through the mud, which I encourage them to continue doing. I will say this, and I don't know where the economy is going, because there is no such thing as a skilled economist who can actually tell you anything.
10 economists, 10 opinions. Yeah.
There is no science behind economics anymore. Anybody that comes
Blaine, part of that is we are in rather uncharted territories, and we have nobody to blame for that but ourselves.
And it's a rigged game.
One of the game has been rigged since 1987.
Sure.
The point of this is that what nobody talks about is in fact the bond market. And we have $9.5 trillion worth of short-term debt in the United States, which unfortunately is only about 25% of the total that's outstanding at this point, that we have to refinance in the next 90 days. Okay? And that's going to be the real test around what happens with the economy, is what happens with that. Because if the Chinese start dumping treasury bills and bonds, that's going to put more pressure on the United States. And this may be the fatal mistake that Trump and Scott Bessent have made, because they figured everybody with the disruption in the trade circles would do what everybody has always done, and they would run right back to put money in U.S. Treasury, buy bonds. But that's not happening this time around. So that may be the real risk in this situation, is that we may have accelerated what was going to happen anyhow, which is our inability to service our national debt. And when that happens, you're something between Zimbabwe and the Weimar Republic.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't know where you fall quite on that scale, but that's or one of the past iterations of Argentina. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens.
I will say this. I can't argue with you, Stan. I will say this, though. We have never seen a president in my lifetime who has wielded the power of the United States like a freaking broadsword. Now, I'm not arguing that he's not a drunk wielding it. We can get into that. but I've never seen anybody take some of the actions that he has on the scale that he has. And we're in unprecedented territory in many respects.
It's a gamble. It's an educated gamble. And the educated gamble will work in the short run if in fact it is a short-term gamble. Okay? They were counting on everybody taking a knee in this discussion, and a lot of countries have. Problem is that they're not. It's not the EU yet, and it's not China yet, and those are the big trade partners in that context. So it's going to take a little while to get this figured out. But he may make this work. You can't say he's not going to yet. It just means there's going to be a lot of uncertainty, and if it doesn't work, Matt's absolutely right. There's going to be pain on Main Street. But I think most people in his contingency at this point, either through a not full understanding of what's going on or through admiration of the fact that he is in fact wielding a broadsword at this point, is giving him the benefit of the doubt. Because you know where we were on the Biden track. Okay, you know where we were. That was completely unsustainable in its own right. It was boiling frog, 1 degree at a time. This is Highlander. Okay, that's what this is, and so we'll see how many there can be. If there can only be one, we'll see who it is. Right.
Well, you mentioned the bond market. Clearly, there's 2 ways to handle the debt. You either service it with lower interest rates, so you don't have to, pay as much, or you monetize it, which, like you said, takes us to the Weimar route. The other thing that I've been hearing a lot about with all these smart people that clearly know more than I do, is that they're looking for a Bretton Woods kind of 2.0, right? Getting like the group of countries together that essentially come up with a grand bargain, right? And it sounds like the 70 or so countries have come knocking on our door, but it hasn't been the 70 right ones yet. It seems like we need the entire EU for it to make a go of it. And then ideally you want capitulation from China too, but I don't know that we're seeing that. Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Who are these 70 countries?
That's just what the Trump administration has said that there are.
Well,
Andorra, Sao Tome and Principe.
No, guys. Let's be honest about this, okay? You've got the Japanese and the Koreans and the Vietnamese. So out of the Asian cohort, that's a big chunk, okay? And the Vietnamese piece is basically a front for Chinese companies who moved to Vietnam in 2016, right?
Right.
So you're seeing some movement. I mean, the Japanese and the Koreans are important in that context, and they're going to set a tone for what comes next. Because watch Indonesia. Indonesia will probably be right behind all of that sort of stuff. What you don't see anything going on with is in Latin America, which is kind of interesting. So we'll see what happens. Other than the Argentines have been sort of steadfastly on Trump's side. The EU is going to be a tough nut to crack. And I haven't decided if Kim Starmer is going to crawl to Washington or he's going to crawl to Brussels and try to sort of hitch a ride on the EU. I don't think his electorate will go.
Well, I was surprised to see the news yesterday that Meloni's coming over to make her own deal for Italy.
She's just coming over to see Elon. That's all.
No, she's coming. You know what? I don't like her lifespan anymore. Coming over for a Forest Life interview, and you know it.
Oh man. Well, she's looking for a boathold, Joe, and she needs a place to when the EU collapses. Where is she going to go?
I know a place.
All right, guys. I have a call at the top of the hour that I have to go do and do some prep for. Congratulations to everybody on 500. Happy trails to another 500. Nice to see Matt and Blaine and everybody else, and Sean, and everybody in the chat. Thanks for the welcome. My sense of it is there's probably a Dutchy-based show coming up when Matt's out here, if we can do that, and we'll be in touch about doing that as well. Okay.
All right, brother. Appreciate your time.
Keep your head down and look. I mean, for some of us, this hasn't changed the trajectory that was predicted 3.5 years ago. It just means the tectonics are underway. We here in the Duchy of Montana have already decided about how we're going to. I don't want Alberta to be a 51st state. I just want to merge it into the Duchy of Montana, and then we can say sayonara to all you sons of bitches because we don't need anything else, right? So that's pretty much where our head is today. Right. Yeah. Be well. Travel safe.
Brother. Appreciate it. All right. It's always good when we
pat out of the bag on the Grand Duchy of Montana and Alberta, but that is in the works. So.
The northern 40 of the Grand Duchy there. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Real quick, let's take a pause. I'm going to catch up on some of these super chats. There have been some very generous donations since we've been talking. Lost Core 23 for $10. See, I waited for Stan to leave before I asked this question, Lost Core. You gotta work for it, man. Question for Stan: how do I get you to respond to my shenanigans on X? Well, I mean, he's a serious guy. You gotta have next level shenanigans to get him to respond. Penis Chase Helicopter Tours for $5 says it's day 81 of Trump's presidency and not one corrupt Fed or bureaucrat has been prosecuted. When Democrats regain power, they will kill everyone right of Mao. Mark my words, they will. I mean, this is something that Joe, you and I have been talking about. We were very hopeful for Cash. He was saying all the right things. I mean, who knows? Maybe he's got some secret tribunals going on inside the FBI headquarters. But I am pushing the doubt button at this point.
So I'm going to point out that on the Sean Ryan show, he very clearly and explicitly said on day one, we're going to smash it, turn it into a museum. To the deep state. It's well beyond day one. So
curious. How many times can you people be lied to?
Seriously. It's always nothing ever happens o'clock.
Yeah.
Well, what it is too. The FBI and the Department of Justice only move forward when they have a case that is 100% solid that they believe they can win at. And that's not the game that the Democrats have been playing. The Democrats will file charges against anybody, whether they know they can win or not, because they want to inflict the damage of cost and things along those things. And so they're playing. It's kind of like they're boxing with, Queensberry rules here, and they're dealing with someone who wants to street fight. I think that's part of the problem, and I think it's a huge problem.
Yeah, Blaine, that's a great point. Let me just say, let's give the Trump team the benefit of the doubt and say 6 months from now we've got indictments against all these people that we have been asking for, right? Let's just say that's the case. Mm-hmm. I will still fault them for not just raking these people across the coal from day one and calling a spade a spade. I mean, like Bongino drops that tweet yesterday about like, hey, we got some things going on and we can't basically, we're not saying trust you, but trust us. But in a way he's saying trust us. So I'm like, okay, I got it, but that's not the way you do it. The way you do it is to do exactly to them what they did to us. And
they're not capable of.
To guilty people, though, not to innocents who did nothing wrong.
They're not capable of this.
I know.
I mean, look. I'm sorry. The T-shirt salesman had a front row seat to everything the Clintons were doing for a long time. All right. That's for starters. I don't have any faith. Here's the thing. We're the sum, and several of you have heard this in your careers. We are the sum of our results, not our intentions. All right. And I'm sorry. I don't see it. And yes, by the way, to all the cultists out there, if I vote for someone who that makes them a public servant, right? And if they are not performing to the standard what they were hired to do, then I have a civic duty to call that out. That's how it works. It doesn't mean that I fall in line and I blindly follow someone. I voted for Trump for 3 times. And I'm sorry, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. There was they have absolutely blown every chance. And this is the real problem with the economic policy, is that I know what this is going to do. Hopefully not long term, but all the people that say, "Oh, well, it's going to be painful for a little while." Okay, well, that's notwithstanding the fact that you have the most unhinged liberals imaginable that the Democrats are going to run. They will wield their power, and when Main Street is feeling that pinch, guess what? They're going to vote for them. Because when people start getting desperate, any voice in the room, no matter how crazy it sounds, that isn't the voice that they perceive that caused the problem, they're going to vote for. All of the stuff, all the problems that we've had since the Great Depression, right? Everything that conservatives have railed against, Social Security, right? These socialist issues, you got to understand where they came from, right? All of these socialist programs that quote unquote progressives put into place came out of the New Deal. Well, how did the people of the New Deal get elected? Who were those politicians that got elected? It was because they were socialists, by the way. How did they get elected? Because these people were unelectable prior to that. They were some of the this is where Mother Jones, all of that stuff, all that came from.
Yeah.
Well, they gained power. And what did they do? They used it. You had FDR, who was literally stacking the courts. You had the National Firearms Act, right? The NFA that went into effect. That was designed, by the way, its original intent was to completely outlaw civilian firearms ownership.
Yeah.
That's how it was framed. They had to dial it back. He was stacking the courts. There's a reason that we have the number of Supreme Court justices that we have. If you look in the Constitution, there isn't a prescribed number in there. Okay. This is where it all came from. And so if you think that, everything will be fine. This is not a problem. I mean, I'm telling you that this is what's going to happen. So for all the people who are sitting there like, well, there's no solution that you're offering. Yeah, well, there was a solution. There was one. That ship may have sailed, unfortunately. The solution was to economically incentivize companies to return to the United States. And they didn't do any of that.
The irony, Matt, is that I feel like we've seen more foreign investment in the U.S. Than we have actual reshoring of U.S. companies with offshore assets. So, I mean, he did a great job of actually getting a lot of companies to bring money back in the first term. With the tax holiday on corporate taxes overseas. If you bring it back, you basically pay like zero. Well, I can't remember what it was. It was pretty much.
If I may explain the problem that we're in now, the money is coming back. That is an argument many people are making as a counter to what Matt's saying. However, here's what I will tell everybody who's in that boat. Guess where all the industrial equipment comes from to build these companies you are now trying to reshore? Oh, oops. Yeah, we don't make any of that here. And I mean none of it. That all comes from either mostly China and some of it from Europe, which I'm just saying we're in a very interesting space.
Yeah.
And it could just be, I mean, this could be cope, but it could be that there's bits to this we're not understanding and not seeing. But from where I'm sitting, I'm buckling up. I'll let you know that I got on the brush beater store today and ordered. I didn't get the thing I really wanted because I can't actually afford that. I got something I've been staring at for quite a long time. So you should see that order in there, by the way. And I encourage you guys to do the same. If you need something that has parts produced in China, who knows when you're going to get it again?
I'm gonna stab you.
Matt, let me just pause before I continue on with the super chats, and you guys have been very generous. I want to do a shout out to Matt, because Matt, if you remember when we first met there at the G Camp, I said if I could ask for one thing to be on your story, it was binocular night vision, and you have absolutely just crushed that. And the ones that I saw you come out with recently that look like they look like the old PVS 15s. The price point is great. It's like right at there. Is it third generation tubes at right around $5,000? I mean, that's a screaming deal. I don't know if those are still in stock, but
they are.
I'll be honest with you. I've got kind of like Watcher. You know,
I've actually got them on the other side of this wall, but kind of giving folks the rundown here. What you're talking about, Scott, is the AGM UNDGs.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the barriers I think a lot of people have to entry in the night vision and thermal world that I hear repeatedly is the cost, right? And so you should completely ignore, by the way, digital night vision stuff. Just don't. Those things are a waste of money. Don't invest in it. And they're all coming from China, by the way. All of it is. That's another conversation entirely. So one of the things that we've sought to do is create lighter weight units and more capable units while keeping the cost low. And meanwhile, where it's feasible to do so, repatriating that technology manufacturing. So with AGM, what we've been able to do is, and it's taken a mountain of work, they actually invested in a tube manufacturing facility. I could go deeper into it, but I'm not. But it's down in Texas. They came up with an ultralight housing. I've done several videos that are up on Twitter under the highlights tab. You can check those out.
Mm-hmm.
So units that are the same weight as PVS 31s, which is as light as you're going to get for dual tubes. PVS 31s obviously are prohibitively expensive for a lot of people. I totally understand that. But being able to bring a significant level of quality and capability at a much lower price. And so that's what we have been able to do, and I have them in stock. They're selling like crazy, by the way. We've sold several units of them just in the past few days, but they come in two flavors, white phosphor and green phosphor. And there is on the high side of Gen 2 tubes is where you're going to find the best deal. And then, of course, the Gen 3s are a little more expensive than that, going up market. And, of course, I also have a set of them with Elbit tubes in them that are that exceed PVS 31s in terms of capability. So it's pretty awesome. The barrier to entry and a lot of that, of course, I also have Gen 2 tubes in the Wolf 14 housing that's back in stock. We have PVS 14s as well. Near term, I don't see that supply line getting impacted as much as I do the thermal market. That's that one. I'm expecting price increases, and I've been on the phone, by the way, the past. Well, today's Friday, so I've been on the phone for the past week with each of the companies that I do business with, anticipating. You know, we're trying to have a workable strategy among dealers and distributors to manage the potential fallout from this. So if you're looking to get into it, now's probably a good time to do so. But just understand that I'm doing everything that I can to keep prices reasonable on this technology. You got to understand that they're, the day there's never going to be a time where you're going to get $500 nods. Right? That's not happening.
Yeah.
It's not happening because of the manufacturing process. It's just not happening. But we're doing what we can. We're absolutely doing what we can. But it's that being said, dual tubes coming in $5,600. Yes, I do understand that's still expensive, but in the world of dual tube night vision, that's about half the price of what most people are expecting.
Yes, 31s I've seen on your site and others for about 10 grand.
Yep.
And they were a little cheaper than that, 10 years ago, but like $9,000. But $9,000 was a lot more money back then than it is now, right? So I mean, so when you figure inflation, everything, $5,000 for 5.5K is a good deal. So I'll be honest with you. I'm probably going to reach out to you and here in the near future to see what we can do, and because I'd love to check those out and get it up there for myself.
That supply, by the way, is going to be pretty consistent. They are manufactured here in the United States, down in Texas. AGM has been very aggressive on repatriating certain technologies and applying that to our conversation on manufacturing.
Yeah,
they've been able to repatriate that because the manufacturing process already existed. And so they were able to invest in that in a realistic time frame. There's other technologies though that's not necessarily so. And by the way, it was very concerning when the tariffs were levied on Israel in terms of defense technology, and that specifically with regard to Elbit. Elbit took a lot of pains to alleviate that, but Elbit is one of the two primary tube manufacturers to the United States military, between Elbit and L3. And L3 is
L3 bought ITT, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm not going to go deeper into that conversation. I could.
No, that's fine. Yeah. This is not counsel on future night vision devices. So I just wanted to put that out there into the. Joe? It's like when you and I go down the fucking rabbit hole on camouflage patterns and shit like that. I mean,
there was a discussion of Marpat Tiger Stripe this morning. Yes,
there was. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure people are aware of what awesomeness you've brought to the community with what's going on with your store. So
Matt,
you shipped to AP.
Responsible for my camouflage problem because he introduced me to a guy called O241 Tactical, who is now making me 2 complete sets of unique camouflage uniforms. So
I was going to say that completed the circle. Now I see it is all Matt's fault.
Man.
Yeah, every time I go to that site, I see their night desert. I'm just like, I get, I have to hide my credit cards. So. All right, hey guys, let me go through. I got a bunch of super chats here. I want to make sure I get them all. Kaiser John over a Rumble for $50. Man, that is such a. All you $50 warriors have just been humbling me this morning. Happy 500th, guys. No, thank you for being here, and thank you for being in the chat, brother.
They're going to Peter night vision purchase through super chats today.
Peter says helicopter tours for $2 says America must come to terms with the fact that the current left and right and the Constitution can no longer coexist.
I don't disagree. I mean,
yeah, Blaine. Blaine,
you might have wrote
like
about
a book or two about this. Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I've been saying that all along. The left is fighting. They don't want to coexist. They don't want cooperation. No, they don't want parity at all. And we keep going to them and going, well, let's negotiate. They don't want to negotiate. They want us gone, period.
Yeah. That's a really great point, Blaine. Cogginsville 431 for $10 says, joining late at 1.5 speed. Congrats on keeping me informed for 500 shows. Now, Phil Collins, appreciate you for being here. That's another name I recognize from way back. A lot of, I just want to I don't know about, Sean, you've had a channel for quite a while. How many people do you see in your chat today? You saw in your chat like 4 years ago when you first started this kind of.
I think a hand. I do see some of the old timers there, but not as many. Not as many.
Yeah.
And things go through cycles. Cycles.
I've been very blessed that I've got some really solid followers that I continue to see their names week in and week out. So thank you guys for being there. This is a very loyal crowd that follows the show. So thank you. Let's see. I think that's one more. Peanut Shades Helicopters for $5. Wanted to thank Matt for putting Gorilla Guide in a weather-resistant spiral-bound format similar to the Singar's Blue Book. Unfortunately, broke Joe's rules and put my brush beater stickers on my Jeep.
Hey, man. You gotta stay gray, man. You're not being the gray man doing that. But then again, most guys who call themselves the gray man get out of the car in their 5'11" pants and.
Well, the most gray men don't go around calling themselves Peanut Shades Helicopter Tours on.
I heard a theory the other day that said that if all the gray men all came together and started wearing those together, then they could actually wear them because then half of America would be wearing fucking gray man shit.
Right.
I just want to say I don't have to take this shit that's going on. This fucking absolute tomfoolery in the chat. Put the money for some speech therapy. Those Yuki names get you every time. That's true. I take it back. When you're right, you're right. Cannon, how you doing, brother?
What's going on, fellas? I just wanted to stop in and say congratulations on 500 episodes.
Hey, man, I appreciate you. You've been a big part of this too. On and off, you gave us definitely a different point of view that we can provide the folks. How's life been treating you in B-More?
Pretty good. Can't complain, man. The wife just celebrated 15 years yesterday.
Oh, congrats, man!
Things are going good.
Congrats,
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I'm just proud that you guys had the discipline enough to count your episodes because I have no clue where I'm at.
I mean, every time I turn around, you, Matt, and there's a couple other people. Sean is always popping up now. I mean, my favorite streamers constantly are continuing to hit me, so I appreciate all that. And Ken, I love you. Have like the most eclectic kind of topics. It's like you'll be talking about Spider-Man video games, and then we'll be talking about bridges in the bay of in Baltimore Harbor. So I mean, it's like you just like hit it all.
That's what I call ADHD at its finest, there, Scott. ADHD at its finest. I just try to weaponize it a little bit.
Hey, man, I've been weaponizing my ADHD for years. Alpha Charlie Concepts for $500. Congrats on 500. All right, I've caught up in Rumble. Now let me catch up in over here on. Let's see. I'm not
sure let Alpha Charlie Concepts pop in and pop out like that. You too, sir, are half responsible for my camouflage problems. Because I mentioned I want a certain piece of gear and a certain piece of camouflage, and then it shows up, and then I'm like, well, I also wanted this, and I also wanted in that.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'm going to go down the list for YouTube because I've lost track here. So, Well-Armed Corgi, I think we got you. Congrats on 500. All right, Just Me. Sorry that you've had to wait so long. For $49.99, couldn't spare that extra penny, could you? Hey, it's an honor to make the show. First time I ever had been glad. Ambulance stunned slow out here. You're definitely typing with your thumbs. I can see. Fingers crossed, I can send you a cheapskate super in the future. If not, even with a bang. Thank you, brothers, for a fun, interesting time. You all, yeah. Like I said, it's guys like you, Just Me, that I recognize week in and week out that make doing this show worthwhile. Let me be honest, Joe. Sometimes when sometimes I can't do the show, but other days I do the show and I'm like, man, I don't know. Today's a rough one, and then I just get on and I do the show, and it's always worth it. Janine Rogers, another name I recommend. She's been a member for 25 months. Years. Yeah, that's a solid commitment. Congrats on 500. You come a long way since Writers Fix Problems. Thank you all. Hey, I just wanted Blaine. When are we going to bring back another episode of Writers Fix Problems?
It's really a matter of me finding the time to do it.
I know you've been busy as shit, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of writers that I'd like to bring in. I just need to clear off another book or two, and then I'm back into that.
All right, brother. Well, you got a spot on this channel whenever you want to do it, and Watcher is raring to go to help you do that. So we'll make that happen. And by the way, I just want to remind people, if you're a member of the channel, you've got the free super chat over there on YouTube that you can use. So if you haven't used it in a while, feel free to jump in. Speaking of people who have been with us for a long time, Cool Bunny Slim. That's a name I remember from the Wayback Machine. Member for 36 months. Yeah. Congrats on that's 3 years of membership. Wow, that's humbling. Appreciate everyone listening but working.
Scott,
thank you.
Real quick,
yes,
we got a couple people we got to take off.
All right, yeah.
Matt's got to go for now.
Matt, hey man, I appreciate it. I'm going to be in touch. I got a couple things I want to run by you, and looking forward to what you guys are going to be doing this summer in Montana. I won't be able to be there, but definitely it's going to be good for everybody, I think.
100%.
I've also got some interesting stuff.
Congratulations on 500. Talk to y'all soon.
Absolutely. Thanks.
See him.
And let's see. All right. And I got the other one. Okay. Thank you. Let's see. Let me just. I want to get through these real quick. Space Kissinger for 20. If you want to get the best people to reply to you on X, make better posts. Oh, this is YouTube responding to the Rumble ghetto. I can't. This is a little YouTube on Rumble violence here. Quality of nonsense over quantity. That's why I post 800 times a day.
We'll say Space Kissinger is another name I remember from the way back, and Lance Corporal.
Yeah, and another one. Yeah. Reality versus rhetoric. No BS when you hear it. Yep, 100%. James E for $5. I understand disagreeing, but I don't get being insulting. This isn't a therapy session. A guest on a stream should carry themselves as a guest at home. Well,
let me address this. The guy called Matt an asshole first, so Matt was simply responding to that guy.
And if Matt didn't act like that in my home, I would be disappointed.
Yeah, if you've ever met Matt,
yeah, I mean, you just got the authentic guy. So I mean, and I get it. Guys like Matt aren't for everybody. That's cool. I totally get that, right? I come from the world of combat arms, and we grow tough skin, and it's just one of those kind of things. Some people are very erudite and and polite, like Blaine, and other people are a little more smash mouth. So I mean, it's just the way of the world, and I just take people as they are. Matt's done more for this community than probably any two average people have the right to have done. So I'm going to give the guy a little bit of grace.
Call him a name, whatever name you want. But if you were at an event he was at and you said, man, I'd really like to get me one of those cool new digital radios, but I just don't have the funds. Matt's going to put that radio in your hand, right?
Yeah.
And send you on your way. So.
Yeah, we're not all going to agree on everything. You know what I mean? Like, he has his opinions on the economy. That's what it is. We agree with him, we don't. But, it's just that's the nuance of individualism, people. You can agree with them on 99% of the things, but there's going to be a 1% that you don't, and it's okay.
Yeah, I might be biased, but I have kind of a Matt in person is one of the most charming people you've ever met in your life. I'll just say that he walks into a store and the people there will remember him for many years.
Well, and if he seems wound up, it's because he cares.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And
Yeah.
and let's be honest, he's being personally impacted by what's happening. So people tend to get a little passionate when their livelihood is threatened. Um, hey, Omega Lloyd, man, I'd like to get my hands on some PVS 31s. I tell you what, brother, those dual tubes that we were talking about. I mean, I still have them pulled up in my other window here. The AGM UNVG NL1s. It's $5,300. They are articulating dual tube, and I mean, I'll be honest with you. I would rather have these because I could get two of them for the price of 31. So if you're in the they're at the same price point that PVS 14s used to be at. So
I'd be happy with a monocular, but that's still out of my price range.
All I can afford is Nerf nods. Okay, that's all I can afford.
Amen, brother.
Hey, I'm with you. I'm with you.
The old what was it? Splinter Cell?
No. That's too expensive. I've got the kid spy gear stuff, the one that's essentially green glasses with a flashlight on them.
Right.
That's all I can afford right there, straight out of the Burger King Kids Club.
Hey, I know you've got to take off here, Blaine, here in a few minutes. What's been circling around the conflict whirlpool that's kind of grabbed your eyes in the last little bit?
Yeah, I think we're all facing a threat from China, and the fact that China was the only place that stood up and said we're going to do reciprocals. China wants a conflict. I mean, that's a signal, and what that conflict will look like and where it will unfold, we can all guess. But I think China is seeing this push as both an opportunity and a direct threat. Whether they can weather it or not, I don't know. I have so little faith in the economics that I learned in college. At this point, it's really hard to say. But I think that China is feeling a real pinch. Notice we haven't talked, if you watch the mainstream media at all, legacy media, you don't hear about Ukraine. We don't see Zelensky going, hey, if you don't send us money in the next 2 weeks, the war is over. Ukraine has dropped off the planet as far as everyone's concerned. China is filling that void right now, and I think that's important to pay attention to.
Yeah, that's a great point. China has definitely kind of got everybody's attention, and here's the thing: whether it's domestic or international trouble, I can't imagine a scenario where China's not upfront and forthright for the whole thing, right?
We look at what Pete Hegseth said about the Panama Canal this week. I mean, we are bitch slapping China in a lot of different places, and there's going to be some ramifications. I don't know what that means yet. As a fiction writer, I can come up with a whole bunch of stuff, but that doesn't mean it's going to be dead on.
Yeah,
I think China blinks by the summer. I think they got the wherewithal to hold out. However, I don't think I don't think they can afford for the dollar to crash. They need a return on their investment. So I think that it gets to a point where they blink and then they come to the table and we come to some kind of resolution in this. I think it's going to be a net positive overall.
I think that's very likely too, but it's one of those kind of things. It may take us a little bit of time before we get there. You know what I mean?
Bear in mind, the United States takes a hit, and we worry if we lose face. China doesn't care if they lose face. They don't. It doesn't bother them. They're more interested in the longer game, and we don't play the longer game. Yeah, I respect everything Matt said. I think we're in such uncharted territory. It's very hard to predict how this is all going to play out. I think you're going to see a bunch of deals where all the tariffs are on both sides are dropped, and that's going to help a number of businesses economically. Is it going to bring all the manufacturing back? It took decades for this stuff to be sucked away. It's going to take decades for it to come back. It's not going to happen quickly.
In the efforts to
Scared
hold
money don't
you,
make money.
yeah. In the effort to hold you a little longer, Blaine, I want to read this. I want to read this headline here. China escalates with 125% tariff on U.S. imports, signals we will ignore future retaliation. So here's my question, right? Who cares about what China does with tariffs?
Well, I mean, to back that up, second headline.
Some of our pork producers might care. You know, it's the tariffs that we put on China that are going to hurt people in America, you know, even more. Now, that may be short-term pain, but that's just one of those kind of things. Now, let me read this. Trump blasts off China blocking America films over tariffs. I've heard of worse things.
Well,
yeah, I mean, go ahead.
I'm all in favor of that. I think it's hilarious. Oh, people in Hollywood are going to be hurt. Ooh, that's terrible. I'm upset.
Oh, no. Are we kicking them when they're down after the fire? Yes.
I want to get this one in here because Blaine in Canada, it's got your name in it. Lost Corp 23 over on Rumble for $50 says, Blaine in Canada, are you seeing any impact in the DMV area off the feds being fired? I'm hearing a lot of crying, but not any real world impact. Before you guys answer, I'll tell you where I'm seeing it. Like fucking crying like you wouldn't fucking believe is on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is absolute like a therapy session. Go ahead. I'll let you
go ahead, Cannon.
I got some family. I got family members who got let go. A couple of friends that got let go. But they work for agencies that I would say are either redundant or were used as cannon fodder to boost the job numbers during the Biden administration. So the jobs that they had that they were let go from were unnecessary, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
But as far as that, you got a lot of people going back to work, which is crazy because a lot of people, for some reason, thought that this telework thing was going to be forever. So you got a lot of people that have to report back to work who don't even live in the area anymore, who are now resigning because they can't afford to move back to the area. So
Right.
that's what I'm seeing. But I just look at it. I'm like, man, this is how the world works. This is business. Not only is this a country, this country is a company. And if this company is insolvent, you gotta correct course. And like with any other company, you may have to let go of some personnel and cut back spending and all this other stuff. And this is what we're seeing. A lot of these government employees, they got this mantra where they say that it's hard to get fired from the government. It's so hard to get fired from the federal government. Well, I mean, I guess not anymore. And I feel bad for a lot of them. But it's just what it is. And like I said, I got some family members that are affected, but it's like, yo, your agency was redundant. Like, and you can't be upset because you had this previous administration who's been effing off with the money and spending it like it's going out of style, tricking on these hoes on credit, and we ain't got it. So now when you get a responsible adult in office, you gotta correct it. And this is what comes with that. It's not easy. It's not going to be easy. From from Doge making these cuts to the tariff war, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be some hardship until we get to where we need to be. But you do see it here. You see a lot of houses going up for sale here in the suburbs of Maryland. I'll say like PG County and Bowie and places closer to DC. You do see houses going up for sale because a lot of people are taking those severance packages. But that's all I'm seeing. I see a bunch of complaining, and I'm like, yo, I said, unfortunately, this is how you bounce back. Either you continue to spend in a deficit until you're bankrupt, or you correct course and do some cuts, and maybe you hire again later, but you do some cuts right now to save the ship, and then we'll come back in I don't know, maybe 2026, and reevaluate.
Yeah. I tell you, I respect both Matt and Stan's opinions. Matt was definitely really high and right with where he's been the most negative of anybody that I've directly interacted with. But the interesting thing there is that he's literally referring to things that are directly affecting him. Stan was a little more conciliatory, but still criticizing the administration from the same kind of vector that Matt was doing it from. For me and my personal point of view, and the kind of aligning with some of the things that you said, I don't know that it's the end of the world, but it's just one of those kind of things where I don't know anybody. If anybody tells you they know how tomorrow's going to go, it's not true. It's a fucking crapshoot at this point. And ultimately, China's at the root of it. Blaine,
I can tell you this. What I've seen locally is there's been a few people that put their houses out in the market locally. I've seen a spike in that. It hasn't impacted the pricing of housing yet. I have several friends that have been impacted by this, but you got to bear in mind, a lot of these guys took the early out. They're still on the government payroll. They're on the government payroll through September. But they're no longer going to work. They're trying to get jobs, and they're getting a lot of part-time gigs with contractors. Now, Accenture has taken a huge hit. Their stock was down like 10% because they've been losing government contracts right and left. And what you're seeing is what Doga has been doing is whacking these contracts. That's hitting harder, I think, than the federal employees being let go, because the federal employees are still getting paychecks for the most part. A lot of them are on leave, administrative leave, if they took that early deal. And so they're still getting their benefits and still getting their paychecks. But the contractors are getting whacked. And the thought was always, hey, these guys are all going to leave the federal government and they'll go work for contractors. Well, it's only if there's a lot of contracts out there. And, Doga's been cutting contracts, not in the terms of tens of millions, but in the terms of hundreds of millions. And that is devastating the Beltway bandits, which is the real problem in the DC area, are all of these subcontractors. I think you're going to see a lot more people at not from the government level leave, but from that level leave. And the announcement this week that, the Department of Agriculture is actually going to go out where the farms are, and Trump has said we're going to be moving a lot of the stuff from the 2 headquarters buildings out. It is going to be good. I think it's going to be good, but there'll be a bunch of people that are going to scream and holler. They will put up all the anecdotal stories, and that's what the local media covers, is this poor person who just bought a house and now they've been laid off and what's going to happen to them. Welcome to the real freaking world. I've had to deal with this in corporate America my entire career. I laid people off. I did it for 10 years. That was my job. It's what the real world deals with. They're just government employees and they're not used to it at all. Zip, zero, none. And to them, it's, oh, pity me. I was working for the public good. Now I'm going to lose my job. Well, apparently your job wasn't that freaking important, because, I think we all saw that the Democrats blinked because they knew if they shut down the government, it wasn't going to impact people at all.
Yeah.
And that's the real, the reality that they're trying to deal with. So, I think you're going to see the housing market hit. You're definitely going to see the real estate market in DC in terms of commercial real estate is going to be a massive hit, because they're evacuating a lot of these buildings and the GSA is trying to sell them off, but there's nobody moving in. There's nobody who's going, oh, an open building, I'll take that in DC. The commercial real estate market is going to be hit big time.
We've talked about that on this show several times, that it already has been. This is only going to be.
Yeah. Jim is kind of our go-to man about commercial real estate for a long time. I remember at the beginning of last year, we were going through some real hard times on that. So I think it's going to get worse. I think you're absolutely right.
I gotta go, guys. It's
yeah.
great.
Appreciate you. I
Congratulations
told you.
on number 500.
Yeah. Thanks, Blaine. We'll see you. We'll talk soon.
All right.
Yep. All right. A more manageable crowd. Cannon, can you hang out for a while, or do you need to be going soon?
Yeah, no, I'm good for a little bit.
Okay, good.
I'm
No,
good for a
I
little
just
bit.
want to. I want to get through the rest of these super chats here. I have got you guys all. I'm sorry. I didn't want to stop the conversations. That I don't get these guys on as much as I'd like to anymore. Everybody's been so damn busy lately, so I wanted to let the guests talk. So let me pick up where we were at. Okay, I did James E. All right, Lost Core. Yeah, I think that's where we're at. Lost Core 23 for $10 here. So Scott isn't done with Rumble Ghetto. Absolutely not, brother. The Rumble guys have been sticking with me through thick and thin. And let me be honest. When we finally get when YouTube finally gets pissed off enough at us and kicks us off, Rumble will be our home. So just you guys are in early. If and that's the other thing too to the YouTube. If you guys don't have us over on Rumble as just a backup, that's what we need you to do. We need you to check us out over there, and you don't have to watch us over there, but just make sure you're signed up and able to switch over. So. All right, moving on. Juan Cholo, 1977. Congratulations on 500 episodes. In regards to the U.S. political economic situation, I'm glad to be with you, Samwise Ganji, here at the end of all things. Yeah, there's a little bit of that going on here. I wouldn't want to be the collapse of the modern era with anybody else than these guys right here. Hopefully, I'm in a position when the house of cards tumbles. I hope I am able to get to Montana, but right now, Asia Pacific is a long ways away.
It is,
especially considering the things that we have going on in this neighborhood. So,
right on.
All right. So we've got Dino Klein for $50. Once again, you guys are just so humbling. Don't interrupt convo for this. Congrats on the 500th episode. Yeah, thanks so much. And the Lost Core 23 again for $50. Man, you guys have been very generous this episode. Yeah, we already got that one. I read that one already. Peter says helicopter tours for $1. The smallest of violins is playing for the communists in Hollywood. Now they can pick up. Yeah, I think this is great that China for a long time pushed the cultural movement inside Hollywood away from the mainstream American point of view, and I think they're getting the just desserts. I think we are all caught up on super chats now. Look at that. And we've got some more people still, gonna come. Guys, I'm gonna move over. I got some articles here that we can talk about. Let's talk a little bit because we're talking about China. Let's talk about Panama and China because Joe, we were talking about this earlier in the week. Some interesting things afoot with Panama. And we're starting to see even more kind of breakthrough on this. This is a watcher. I'm doing the U.S. seals Panama deal to deploy troops to Canal amidst Trump's takeover threats.
What's interesting is that for those who don't know, one of the clips we play in our intro is from Panama, from the protest they had, and it's them on the Bridge of the Americas that joins the Panama Canal, and I have stood at that very intersection for a few hours one dark night in 1989. So pretty cool.
Sadly, the super chats will be inaccessible when hypersonics and cyber attacks take out the grid.
I know this is going to be sad. It's going to be sad.
That's true. We won't be able to live stream the apocalypse, unfortunately. Well, we don't think. Maybe. All right, Joe, this is one thing that I was not expecting to see. And now, don't get me wrong. I expected to see movement away from China I think it was on Monday we were talking about the legal challenge within the Panamanian courts to potentially hold China, Hutchinson, criminally liable for all these kind of corruption on the monies and everything. Basically, they saved like millions of dollars through corrupt practices with some of the deals that they made, and so they were basically going after them for that. I kind of expected it to go that route, and that kind of route tends to go very slowly. But this is a little more than I expected. So let me just kind of give you guys a little bit for here. U.S. troops will be able to deploy to a string of bases along Panama Canal under a joint deal seen by a major concession to President Donald Trump as he seeks to reestablish influence over the vital waterway. The agreement signed by top security officials from both countries allows U.S. military personnel to deploy to Panama-controlled facilities for training, exercises, and other activities. The deal stops short of allowing the U.S. to build its own permanent bases on the isthmus, a move that would be deeply unpopular with Panamanians and legally fraught. I don't know how deeply unpopular that would be with Panamanians, but it definitely.
Those other activities involve patronizing Panamanian businesses and contributing a massive amount of money to their economy.
Right.
What happened to Panama was the Americans leaving. So.
So this was one that I just wasn't expected. His administration has vowed to take back control of the strategic waterway that the U.S. funded. The U.S. has long taken part in military exercises in Panama. However, longer-term rotational force, such as one that the U.S. maintains in Darwin, Australia, could prove politically toxic for Panama's center-right. This is where I think whoever is writing this, I think he's off. I think that the U.S., especially if we bring the olive branch of partnership down there, and the guarantee that we're going to be spending millions of dollars. Hey, we're going to need to update all these roads so that our big ass trucks can go down it. You think that they're going to be upset about that? I don't think so. We're going to bring a lot of money down there and spend it in the local economy. No, don't do that. I don't think so. Let's see. Molino said that he had told visiting Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth that U.S. bases allowed under earlier draft would be unacceptable. He warned Hegseth, do you want to create a mess? What we've put in place would set the country on fire. In a watered-down memorandum of understanding signed by Hegseth and Panama's security chief, the U.S. recognized Panama's sovereignty, as we should, not given a following Trump's refusal to rule out an invasion. The Panama will retain control over any installations. Panama will also have to agree to any deployments, but given Trump's willingness to rip up and rewrite trade deals, treaties, and agreements, that might offer a little succor to the worried Panamanians. Joe, I mean, let's be honest.
We have a slant to it.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Let's assume that Panama really didn't like us, right? For whatever reason. We've shown in the past that when Panamanians really hate us, we can still go in at will and just basically take over overnight. I mean, this is not something that is beyond our capability.
Well, let me say we didn't take over overnight, but yes, it is within.
I'm sorry, Joey. It was what, 2 weeks?
It was about 14 days of actual, real, serious fighting, and about 90 days of complete fighting. So,
let's see.
We're fighting there for 90 to 120 days before that in an insurgency at Rodman. So.
I was going to say, in fairness, we actually had troops in the country permanently at that point, so it's not like it was a little easier to deploy back then than it would be now. So.
Yeah, but I was back there as a security augmentation team because the Panamanians were trying to steal everything off the base anyway beforehand.
Yeah. So. Squishy Hunter for $10 says happy 500th CFC. Thank you, brother. Pa Grunt for 20. Congrats on 500. Thank you again. Cannon, let me ask you this: first of all, let me ask you about the bridge. We're talking about the access to the Panama Canal. How much access do you guys have across the freaking Baltimore Harbor there?
Well, they've removed all of the debris, so right now it's unrestricted. I mean, you could provide it, how deep the water goes, but they actually been dredging it out for bigger ships to come through. So it seems like they're going to take an opportunity to make the bridge taller when they build it, and then dredge out where the bridge will be so bigger ships can get through. So right now it's business as usual at the port. However, traffic is still horrible because of that bridge being out. I mean, when I say horrible, it's horrible, especially because we have the tunnel, which is a shortcut. But if you have hazardous materials on your truck, you can't take the tunnel. So you got a lot of these trucks that's got to come in and around the Beltway just to get to the marine terminal, which is really impeding traffic. Now I'm curious to see how this goes because, contrary to what's been saying in the news, I've been hearing that it's been a fight between the state of Maryland and the federal government, getting the funding that Joe Biden had promised when he was in office. So, and then on top of Maryland being flat broke right now, it's going to be interesting to see when this is completed. They're still saying 2028, but I'm not that optimistic that 2028 is going to be when this bridge reopens.
Yeah, I doubt on that one as well. I mean, let's be honest. When was the last time anything got built quickly in America? Anyway, I mean, even in South Korea here, they build shit like overnight, like bridges are like mushrooms. They'll pop up like you're like, wait a second, there wasn't a bridge there last time I drove through here. So yeah, we're missing it. Dove Omega for $5. Onwards to 1,000. Pray the world is still around. Amen. I pray the world is still around next week all the time.
You have to put Jay Clark's comment on the screen.
Let me find it. This one. 1000th episode, live from Camp Ponderosa. Patrick Fox on Drunk Tank. Super chats by Ball Throwers. Drunk Tank sponsored by AutoZone.
I think it's a great idea.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're gonna be doing the Council on Future Conflict around a campfire for the 1000th episode. Super chats will be accepted in the form of marshmallows. All right. Yeah, I've been thinking about that.
Joke in there somewhere, Ron, but I'm not going to say it. So anyway.
I know, right? Patrick Fox. Actually, you know what? I'm going to look him up and see if he's on X. What's he doing? I just want to see for the lulz, Let's see, Patrick Fox. Oh, there he is. He's still on there. Look at that.
Yeah, no one cares. He is still on there, but no one cares.
The sad thing is, Joe, like you've got the biggest following of any of us on X, and I think he has more followers than you. That is
that's because he toes the NAFO line, right?
That's true.
He says exactly what the Ukrainian stands want to hear, so they all follow him.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm jealous. I can't crack 10,000.
Yeah, I'm hovering right under 5,000. Well, I don't disagree. So I'm looking at his post. I'm trying to find something for me to disagree with, but I don't disagree with this. And I think this is. He says, "How do you deal with drone swarms? One of the effective ways, in my opinion, isn't going to be fancy. Put up a wall of lead from multiple radar-guided, high cyclic range SHORAD guns with detonating submunitions. History may not repeat, but it does rhyme."
I mean,
so he's
I
basically
have a limited budget. I could do that too, but
I know, right?
Even the U.S. military doesn't.
Yeah, we don't have. Well, yeah, he's commenting on a video of World War II era like battleships just putting massive walls of ADA and flak out. So yeah, go figure.
Um, I'll tell you this, and I say this a lot, and I'm reading H. John Poole's book on the topic and everything, but everyone is fascinated by drones because of the new shiny thing. But in an insurgency against another insurgent force, like what we would envision in a total collapse society, they're a non-starter because if you have good infantry skill, it doesn't matter. It only matters if you're fighting a nation state. Wink, wink.
Well, I think that you can use them. I always wondered about I think the more effective way to use them is far, kind of observation and reconnaissance, not like anything fancy with like, drone swarm fighting and all that kind of stuff. I mean, for the poor man, you just use it as an observation platform. And if you lose it, you lose it. But
Yeah. So I just read the comments. So yeah, I think it's 100% shoot. They do not name the Francis Scott Key Bridge the Francis Scott Key Bridge when it's rebuilt.
oh,
I'm pretty certain I covered a story where they had an article saying that they have a committee now trying to brainstorm new names for this bridge. So, yeah, it will not be called the Francis Scott Key Bridge. I'm pretty sure they'll say it's rooted in racism or something crazy. And then it'll be called the Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Can't We All Just
George,
Get Along Bridge or something crazy like that. George Floyd Bridge. Who knows? It's going to be something crazy.
yeah, I have no doubt that they're going to fuck it up. I have no idea what it's going to be, but it will be fucked up. So, Jay Sup, member for 30 months. Thank you, brother. Morning, y'all. Happy 500th. There we go. George Floyd Bridge. Mark my words.
Black Lives Matter Bridge. That's what's going to be.
Yeah, the BLM. I tell you, they take a dime of federal funds for it. I think the feds get to name it.
the irony is,
You know what I think they might name it after? They might name it after Elijah Cummings. I'm just going to. They might name it after Elijah Cummings.
Oh my god!
I just got a feeling.
wait for him to name it after Mumia Jamal or what?
Jamal. Hey Joe, did you see the Black Hebrew Israelites video that was going around?
No.
They got all their regalia on, and they're like marching into like some kind of a. It's crazy, man. I was like, wow, I didn't realize there were that many of them, and they were that crazy.
They are. Well, the NFAC was actually a fringe group of BHI believers, so there are a lot of them.
Oh yeah, they're an army. They're an army, legit. Like I know here in Baltimore, it's a lot. One of my uncles, he says he's a Hebrew Israelite, and like me and him be talking, and some of the stuff, I'm like, yeah, I can see that. And then when they start talking about God coming back and killing all the white people, I was like, oh, wait a minute, you done lost me now, sir. I don't know if that's how that goes. Like, yeah, they have a unique view, I guess we'll say, on the way the world works and scripture. Yeah. And they're willing to die behind it too. So.
Yeah, they put out a rap video a few weeks ago that, like, talking about we're not black, we're indigenous, and I was like, what? To hear?
To hear?
And it was a very interesting video.
I want to talk about this other story relating to China. The Watcher, it's the Wall Street Journal one about the infrastructure hacks. In secret meeting, China acknowledged role in U.S. infrastructure hacks. Well, I mean, surprise, surprise, surprise. It's exactly who we thought it was. That being said, it's kind of surprising that we even find this out, right? Maybe the mask is fully off and they just don't care anymore. Chinese officials acknowledged in a secret December meeting that Beijing was behind the widespread series of alarming cyber attacks on U.S. infrastructure, according to people familiar with the matter, underscoring how hostilities between the two superpowers are continuing to escalate. The Chinese delegation linked years of intrusions into computer networks at U.S. ports, water utilities, airports, and other targets to increasing U.S. policy support for Taiwan, the people who declined to be named said the first of it. So here's the thing. If it's a anonymous source that could be making it up, they could be making it up, even if I agree with it. That doesn't mean it's true, but if it is true, then it supports a lot of the suspicions I think a lot of people on this panel have had for a long time. Joe, what was your kind of take on this when you looked at it?
It's not unusual. It's exactly what I've said would be a Chinese policy on this or plan. Why invade and risk millions of casualties and all of that when all I have to do is flip off the lights or flip off the water or both?
Yeah,
and it's a better thing for us. So
yeah, that's a good point. Watcher, I know you provided this link to me. What was your kind of take on it?
So this was an internal meeting. I'm not sure how we have access to this, and the article doesn't ever go into detail about how those sources were gained. So it's also then, as a matter of course, unverifiable. I will say that I would actually not be surprised if China just flat out
They want us to
threatened it
know.
at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I think that might be how that got out. I think that this is an underhanded way of reminding us that they have other ways of fighting. That we believe we're trying to keep the fight in the domain of purely trade, but that they have means of escalating that aren't military force, but that to which our only option would be to have us escalate to military force because we have not spent the time to develop the same capabilities.
Well, I don't know that we don't have the same capabilities. They just have a primitive infrastructure, and we're not dumb enough to use it during times of undeclared hostilities.
If you're talking about like the majority of China, sure, but the people who actually make decisions all live in tier 1 cities, and those tier 1 cities are basically on par with what we've like cities here.
Well, that's not wrong. Omar Little, that's who they should name the bridge for. Yeah, I agree with that. Either Omar Little or Stringer Bell. That's who I'd like to see the bridge named after. And then I offended Cannon so much he drops off when I said that. All right, it's a. Okay. All right. Okay. Let me. Yeah. So. I guess getting back to this whole cyber hacking thing, right? The thing for me is that I absolutely believe this is true. That being said, these are the kind of stories that I hate, whether they're about things that I agree with or disagree with, because they're just the source is so ambiguous. It says U.S. officials went public last year with unusual dire warnings about the uncovered Volt Typhoon effort. The publicly attributed it to Beijing trying to get a foothold on U.S. computer networks so its army could quickly detonate damaging cyber attacks during a future conflict. There we go. We got
hey, they
back.
quoted future conflict on there. How about that?
I know. That's what I'm saying. Future conflict right there in the story. Hey,
Yeah, this is
Cannon.
I find it really convenient that this story comes out or is leaked right around we have this trade war with China. So like it's either this is propaganda for our government to let us or remind us how bad China is, or this is China saying we can touch you whenever we feel like touching you. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people look at, like you said, warfare as being a Red Dawn scenario, death from above, parachuting down, like Patrick Swayze and Emilio Estevez, or is that Charlie Sheen? One of them, whoever was in that movie. But then they forget about cyber warfare. And I remember early on when I first started doing, YouTube and stuff, I was talking about these random cyber attacks that we were getting. You know what I mean? Even with the bridge now is starting to look like, I think the investigation is starting to point towards some kind of cyber attack on the ship. So yeah, we gotta pay attention to that. Like it's getting spicy, and it's going to get spicy, and it could be a nuclear option for China is if they start to lose this trade war. To just like Joe said, hit the switch, turn the lights out.
Well, the odd thing is I think that the first strike weapon of choice for a country like China against America would be an EMP. Because it preserves the infrastructure, yet it essentially guarantees a 90% death rate of the people. Ron, you're not wrong. It's a warning message, right? I agree with that. I just wish I knew exactly who the warning was coming through. Let's see. Oh,
yeah, the unnamed source is Fang Fang.
Fang. By the way, you dropped right when I was telling you they should name the bridge after Omar Little. Either that or Stringer Bell, maybe Stringer Bell or Omar.
Stringer Bell Memorial Bridge. Hey,
that's right.
There you go.
Speaking of somebody who needs to be memorialized, at least not yet. He's not dead yet.
I'm trying.
I hate him. Hey, glad you could make it to our celebration of the 500th episode of Council on Future Conflict. Thank you, brother.
Indeed. Congratulations, gentlemen. You made it 500 episodes without killing each other or the show. Well done.
I've seen Patrick Fox in public for quite some time.
That's true.
Don, I have an idea that we have to remember to do the next time you are here.
Uh-oh.
That sign outside the gym that says positively no smoking on these premises. We need a photo of you smoking directly on
it. Don, you bring up a point though, right? Like the irony is that a lot of people have had to step away from the show or faded out or kind of come and go and then come and go less and less and less, and that's cool because the irony is outside of Patrick Fox, almost nobody is in bad ardor with. It's like everybody is still friends, right? Like Stan is just not able to make it, right? Nobody in this circle has just like absolutely rubbed me the wrong way. There have been some other people who have provided some, drama in the background, but nobody that you hate, right? It's just like, you just kind of roll your eyes and you're just like, whatever, right? And people aren't going to love each other all the time, but the fact that that we've been able to maintain a pretty solid crew together. I mean, hell, we still hardly anybody ever leaves the group chat.
Well, I don't know. There's some habitual leavers of the group chat.
Well,
there are a couple people who seem to leave about once a month. So.
I mean, I'm not going to say anybody in particular that leaves the group chat, but I mean, nobody forces anybody to leave the group chat.
That's true.
Well, guys, I got to jump in a meeting. I appreciate it. Congratulations on the 500.
Yeah, man. Hey, Cannon, you got a seat here anytime you want.
You guys are awesome, and I love coming on with you guys. I would come on a lot more if I wasn't as busy as I am.
I hear you. Well, I tell you what.
With the security director over here at the port. So
when I get back to the States,
guys, and salute to you guys, salute to the chat. I'll holler at you guys.
All right, thanks, man. Go ahead, Joe.
Asked a question about, speaking of people that may have been killed, who was the one guest that Joe got onto for using a racial slur? That was Romeo and the Mooley incident, and Cannon was there for it. So.
Indeed.
Oh yeah, that was wild. That was
wild. Right there, and you just said that. I'm not going to let that go by.
Oh my God, the Mooley. That's talk about a deep cut and deep lore.
What's worse was that he didn't just say it, right? Like we're all there. There's a big group of us, and most of us were kind of hoping to skip it over. But then he said, Mooley, a black guy. We all know what it means. Bro.
That's pretty close to what it means anyway.
I'm just glad he didn't say eggplant.
Yeah, right.
I couldn't let that one
Like
slide.
straight out of
I was like, oh gosh. He thought
Well,
he was the song that talking to his friends.
I know, right? What the fuck does mooly even mean? I'll be honest with you. I didn't catch it the first time you said it. It went right. I went right past me because it's not that I know.
There was these two moolies there. I'm like, what?
Yeah, the last time I think I heard it was during an Andrew Dice Clay.
You know what it is. It's a test of who knows that you shouldn't put pineapple on pizza. That's all I'm saying.
Ooh.
Yo, everything. You know what? We were all having fun.
I had pineapple on pizza last night, guys.
Well, Mexican Iron Man got kicked out of the chat earlier for talking about that garbage. So,
Well, speaking of which, I'm sad he went. Oh, but
Well,
sorry.
I gotta go. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, hey, when I get back to the States, we're probably going to look at maybe moving to the show to a PM time slot. So maybe we can accommodate your schedule a little better then.
Yeah. Let me know because I go live at like 10:30 on Mondays and Thursdays. So yeah. So whenever you guys, that'll be fine. So so if it's something afoot, I definitely can jump on.
And we need to get you into Montana at some point.
I would love to get out there to Montana. I got some people out there in Butte. But I want to get to one of those courses. I just gotta find time.
Get down to brush beaters. Yeah, absolutely. All right, brother. Thank you very much.
I would love it. All right, guys. Holler at you.
All right.
I do have to say that I was very sad Mexican Iron Man got kicked out of the chat before I was able to deploy the meme I had ready for him.
As I keep telling everybody who sends that to me, ICE just deports you, the ATF kills you. Be careful, you can lose this one.
That's where you say to your Mexican employee, touche. All right. Hey, guys, I wanted to bring this up. Did you guys watch any of the footage out of the cabinet meeting yesterday?
No, because everything I saw was Pam Bondi talking about nothing I wanted her to talk about. So,
yeah, I've seen some stuff recently about old Pam that goes beyond a flagging incident that would be worthy of. I look, if she did that on my range, I'm not exaggerating. You would be tackled. If I didn't tackle you, I'd be fired.
That was
you talking about Christy Noem.
Or sorry, Noem. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Pam Bondi. Yeah, sorry.
I don't actually think that rifle was pointed at his head.
Yeah.
It was. I think it was a matter of an angle of the photo. There was enough wrong with that photo that we didn't have to go to the flagging.
Yeah.
The armor over her shoulder.
You know what it was? Is she was looking for a dog to shoot.
No.
That's why, when Cash stepped down from the head of the ATF, I wondered if they're going to put her in there because she's already got the qualification.
Before it happens, Ron, I didn't say that. Don.
Oh, Don.
Thank you, Jay Clark.
Don't drone strike me.
Jay Clark does have my thank you. Yeah, this was my confusion.
Of all the Instagram harlots that are out there, though, this is the one that I thought we would see a lot more of that we haven't hardly seen at all. Which means maybe she's being effective. I don't know, but this clip here, I just dropped the link in the private chat. Watcher, can you play this clip?
Why do you do this to me? I've been here for like 2 minutes. All right.
The chat's not being nice. Yeah.
No, I mean you.
Me? Well, I'm just saying.
I have been on a near decade-long crusade against this person.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Well, here's the. Oh, good Lord.
And the echo begins.
So, the funny thing is that the people I really liked coming into this administration have been really disappointing. And the ones that I didn't like that much have been shockingly effective because maybe because they've so narrowly focused and they're trying to mind their P's and Q's. I don't know what it is. So let's listen to what she has to say here because I'm pretty interested in the content of what she talks about here.
I've got a long list of things that we're investigating. We have the best of the best going after this. Election integrity being one of them. We have evidence of how these electronic voting systems have been vulnerable to hackers for a very long time and vulnerable to exploitation to manipulate the results of the votes being cast, which further drives forward your mandate to bring about paper ballots across the country so that voters can have faith in the integrity of our elections.
I'll tell you, before you throw her overboard, I'll say one other thing that I was kind of surprised and impressed about. They apparently, I'm still trying to make sure that this is correct, but according to sources that I saw that saw documents that were released, they did reveal that in fact those allegations about the Venezuelan election were indeed true and provable.
The Dominion voting machines, that one.
I guess that is in fact that is in fact something technically new. It's a thing that we all knew was correct, but thanks for the evidence. I appreciate it.
Everyone to raise their hand if they're surprised that Tulsi Gabbard is saying what the people in the room want to hear, because that's what she's doing here, right? I'm totally shocked that Tulsi Gabbard could change her position on something to whatever people want to hear.
I cannot believe she would sacrifice her integrity after all these years of being a good public figure of upstanding character.
Let's be honest. Nobody's surprised that she's doing it. What I'm surprised at that they're actually finding any evidence and they're presenting public evidence that these fucking machines that we all knew were broken forever are actually broken.
For clarity's sake, what she said, not what Watcher said, right? What she said, Don Workman, have evidence of that and have for years. Okay, if the director of national intelligence is 5 years behind a canceled show of a guy in his back fucking room, this is not a good sign. Okay.
Well, the problem is
I need her to be more capable than me if she has the entire intelligence apparatus at her disposal. All right.
For 4 of those years, it was the Biden administration who was doing everything they could to hide and discredit this evidence. So, I'd say give this I don't give her any slack because she's just the mouthpiece. I'm happy that she has not been one of the Instagram babes out there. I haven't seen her on the TikToks.
Since then, but she was the first one.
100%. I'm saying
man,
since she joined the administration, I'm surprised she hasn't taken a picture.
360-degree imagery of her ass in a bathing suit, and I have for years. Okay,
and you haven't deleted it. That's telling.
Man, I still have the fappening releases. What are you talking about?
Rowan says it in the chat, and he's right. Rubio has been the biggest surprise because that guy has come out and been laying his junk on the table and smacking people in the face with it.
The only one who's given me exactly what I expected has been Hegseth.
Yeah.
Well,
that's not true. I've enjoyed Homan.
True. Yeah. But he's not. He's a kind of a sub.
But Homan's not actually in charge of anything. He's a policy position, right?
Indeed. But he is doing what he said he would do. And that
100%.
Which is to say that his answer when it comes to hey, what are we going to do about these illegal immigrants is raid them now.
Yeah,
that's the policy. Go to Home Depot right now and get illegal immigrants and get them out.
Well, maybe somebody else that seems to be living up to his billing thus far, as has also been Elon, and Doge has actually been fairly effective, I think.
But before we move on, I just want to say that on a local level, I have seen the results of Homan's policies. And,
Bigfoot.
Yes! I can once again shop at discount stores without significant fear for my life.
And actually, here's the best thing about it here in Bigfoot. They arrested those 17 at a construction site. which is cool because now there's not so many suburban houses being built on top of each other because the labor market is gone.
Exactly.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Another one. Did you guys see the way that the media spun putting the former deputy defense director in at ATF? Did you see the way they spun that? Cash is being removed from his position as director of the ATF. No, he wasn't. He was never actually the director of the ATF.
Right. He was just standing in. Yeah.
He got appointed with like pro tem in front of his title.
Yeah. It's silly.
Yeah. Well,
on the other hand, by the way, in the as long as we're discussing this list of people, this show in particular, full of people, I need to say thank you and congratulations to, because Dan Bongino seems to be bowing to the pressure of this fucking show, and that makes me happy.
We have actually bullied Dan Bongino to death, and we're proud to have been leading that show.
Exactly.
Well, but here's the thing, though. This is why people try to say, oh, well, you're sycophants for Donald Trump. No, absolutely fucking not. We aren't. If we were, we'd be like, oh, well, we trust the plan.
Dan Bongino.
Exactly. That's not the case. The people who are taking him to task the hardest are us. You know, it's guys like us.
It doesn't mean we don't like Donald Trump. Quite the contrary. We wouldn't care if we didn't, right?
Yeah.
It's important that they follow through on what they were going to say. And that whole exchange with Bongino is proof that it's having effect. Because he said, no, he got all mad. So you guys have to trust me. And then he came out a couple days later. They said, okay, I realize saying trust me was an insult. Yeah. That's proof that they're listening and paying attention. So it's okay to call them out because it gets results.
And look, even if, and I know how the internet is, right? Well, but the entire world didn't change in 24 hours, so none of this matters. First of all, when was the last time, other than Donald Trump, the last time in your lifetime that you complained to a White House appointee level politician or member of the government and they cared?
Right.
Literally at all.
Right. Well, Don, that's ironically, that's the second time somebody this week has said that. So the Chamath guy from the All In podcast, he's a billionaire, right? Mm-hmm. He said it was a mega donor to the Democratic Party, and I couldn't get anybody on the phone. He's like, I was a big time donor, and he's like, and then as I've moved over to the Trump's positions on almost everything. If somebody complains to me about something and I call somebody like the fourth person at the desk in a place in this administration, he said within a day I get a call back. Hey, come here. We want to do a meeting. We want to find out what you're talking about. You know what I mean? They are actually curious about what the people who support them care about, and they want to do better. Now, that being said, they're still sucking hind tit in a lot of areas, and we're going to continue to be kind of assholes about it. But it's not because we don't like them; it's because we expect a lot from our leaders.
And you should. And this was the thing that drove me nuts in the first Trump administration, right? Is that you could in the first administration take to Twitter and be like, Trump, this is the bag of crap policy. In 24 hours, he'd reverse himself. And I was like, this has never, ever, 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 ever happened. I can't remember a time when the president of the United States gave a damn what anybody had to say that wasn't like Raytheon. And, Raytheon, I'm sure, is like, what do you mean we're not going to war? Right? More than once.
Yeah. Lamb Chop over at Rumble gifted 10 subs to the chat. Thank you very much. I don't know how you get the turn on the receive gifted sub thing at Rumble. I don't know if you do, but
I just went over and pushed a bunch of buttons and it did something. I don't even know what.
Yeah. So. Peter Shays helicopter. Yeah, Peter Shays helicopter tours for $2 says remind Patel and Bongino that it's day 81 and not one corrupt Fed. Yeah, I get that. I mean, but here's my thing: I think in the end, we're going to get what we want. The problem is we're not going to like the process,
The
i.e.,
problem is
you
that
know,
both went on podcasts and very publicly said that their first thing would be to break up these agencies,
right.
disband them, and now they're backing away from that. So
Yeah.
you're either lying then or you're lying now.
Yeah.
Well,
And by the way,
hold on a second. Let me just say this. The only grace I'll give them is that it may not be a lie. It may be ignorance, right? They may just not have realized that they couldn't do what I'm
Okay.
just giving them an out. I'm not saying
All right.
that's what it is.
Stop
Go ahead.
right now. In the United States, you can be detained for up to 72 hours without charge. There's a bunch of court precedent that says you can do this. By the way, literally the moment that you were leaving the prison cell, you can be detained again for 72 hours. So, we can't fire all these feds. No problem. I know this place you can put them where you can inherently limit any amount of damage they can do until such time as you can fire them.
Well,
But by the way, if they just fail to show up to work for like a month because they're in jail, they can be fired just like everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, and we were talking about this earlier, Don. It's like I want them to do to the Democrats what they did to us, which was use. I mean, but that being said, they're just not those type of people, right?
Look, I'm those type of people. I can go work for the FBI for 60 days. That's fine.
I know.
I will work for
you.
minimum wage because you legally have to pay me, and that's fine. I don't mind. I can, if you can figure out a way for me to donate my time, I can do this from here, right? I will just issue arrest warrants for all of these people. And by issue, I mean, if I have to handwrite them myself, be like, oh, well, I'm sorry. It was just a mistake. We didn't get it from a judge. Or we'll find somebody to appoint as a judge. We'll appoint Watcher as a judge for, a couple of months. He'll issue warrants for me. All those warrants can be overturned later after all these people are fired. That's fine. I don't care. Right. If you want to get things done, and the same thing I told Bongino, right? You judge me by the results. No problem, bro. You have no results. I will get some results immediately. Right. People will not like it. People will be very upset. But that's okay. We'll get some results like it is.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I kind of wish they would be a lot more cutthroat, but also asymmetric in how they do things. Right. But they're not, and that's okay. I get it. You can't have everything, but that doesn't mean we can't ask for it.
I have to say, Cervix Hammer nailed it. We got a bunch of hype for guests, and the best they could scrounge up is Don.
I mean, what are you going to do?
I mean, we had Stan and Matt here earlier. I mean,
coming in late.
I thought Matt was going to burn the place to the ground. Don, you wouldn't believe how Matt just went off. It was great. I loved it. It was classic Matt.
And for those who are saying, well, he should have revealed that he had a personal interest in it, he did at the very, very beginning. He pointed out what it was doing to his business. So,
yeah, right.
Man, on like day one.
Yeah.
So. It's in the original thread, I think. Like it's the second post. It's like, look, understand that I sell these.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
I mean,
flirting with you, Don. Ron is flirting with you a little bit in the chat.
I mean, he does. Actually, it's been a while since I've had a great opportunity to flirt with Ron. What are you going to do?
Well, Ron, everybody that you were sparring with is gone. If you want to come on, you can. You don't have. You're not in the chat anymore. I can send if Ron, I'll send you the link. All you got to do is ask me to send you the link, and I'll send it to you. It'd be great to have you on for you were a big part of the early days of this show, so I'd love to have you back on, Ron. So anytime. Pucker up, Marine. Does that mean he wants the link? I think that's what it means here. Let's see.
I was a little nervous when I was in his leather recliners in his whiskey room. I'm not going to lie.
As you should be.
All right, gents. Well, I do actually have to take off a little bit early this morning. Well, not early. We're past 2 hours, but I've got family over. But I just want to say thanks, guys. All of you out there. I appreciate the heck out of you for being here. Thanks for coming today, Don, and you too, gents. I've already talked to you backstage, but 500 is a big deal, and I appreciate the heck out of both of you.
Yeah, I think that's all the content that I have. Let's kind of go around the horn, and if you just leave when you need to leave, Watcher. But I think we're gonna kind of go into the wrap up portion of the show. Before we do that, random PNW guy over on Rumble says for $20, congratulations on 500 episodes. I'll be listening at 1,000, even if it's on ham radio after the collapse. That's actually a good.
On that note, we are working on Radio Free Duchy, an idea of Stan's from a long time ago, and now Alan is on board. But Alan, you guys have met Alan, and he bought me the greatest collection of 1940s era radio equipment that has ever existed, and I'm like, this is all fantastic. We can't use a single piece of it. But
No, but also yes.
yeah, exactly. So we do have a surplus store built here now, but there's a 1945 metal detector in with this kit, and it is very cool.
I bet it is.
Yeah, so we're going to see if it works.
Next month is not that far away.
It is not that far away.
Joe, what kind of going into the weekend? I mean, we've talked about a lot of the stuff with the economy and whatnot, and that's not really our bailiwick. What's your kind of take? China, yeah, they're the big stick, right? Is it more of a international threat or a domestic threat?
I think China is funding our domestic threat. And I think that that's going to increase. As I've pointed out before, that they come in. They would rather us be disrupted internally and kill ourselves off than them come in here and invade. So I think what we'll see is China have to save face. So they're going to have to do something related to Taiwan, just like Stan said earlier. The most likely scenario is a blockade. It draws everyone's attention away from tariffs and points out to Donald Trump that there are consequences to his tariff program. I'm not saying China is right, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't have tariffs put on them. I'm just telling you what it looks like they're going to do. They ran a threat to us last week in their full-scale drill that saw the most ships and planes around Taiwan than we have ever seen. But I would expect to see an actual blockade of Taiwan or some action on Kinmen Island and Matsu Island before that. So that's my prediction.
Yeah, Don, what about you? Where do you think we're going to see it?
Joe is probably almost precisely correct. I would bet the other thing that's going to happen is we're going to start playing the third-party product game, which is to say that China has spent a lot of time doing Belt and Road things. And so they're going to see, regardless of how this works out, they're going to try and like, this is a product of the Sudan or something on it, which still will have no factories, but they will build warehouses there and put Chinese products there and see if they can still sell them to us.
Yes, same thing Stan pointed out earlier. Absolutely, 100%. Play the shell game, right?
Exactly. And I'd love to say that that's like a great prediction or something, but it's the most Chinese thing in the world to do. So, they're going to do it. Other than that, though, in the world of the economy, I shouldn't let this be glossed over. There has been a lot of bitching amongst the internet for a long time of things being overvalued. And if you want to have some fun, go pull up the lifetime value of all of the major indexes of the stock market. And you will see that they are all effectively 4 to 10 times, depending on which one you're talking about, what they were in about 2005. All right. So your S&P is I think it's 4 times what it was in 2005. The NASDAQ is 6 times, well, maxed out at about 6 times what it was. All of the major indexes are like this. And so while everyone is spurging out about what's happening in the stock market, if you're going to sit here and rightly complain that everything is overvalued for, let's be honest, most of a decade, and then be shocked when it loses 5%, you need to figure out what it is that you think or want in this situation. Because if it's, but we need to get things back to a realistic situation, setting, etc., then yeah, the stock market's going to lose 5% now and again. That's going to happen. because it's all fake nonsense, and you all know it.
Well, that's the thing that I was most surprised about with the kind of the intelligentsia around the stock market, especially the what's interesting is that the tech billionaires were never a vocal audience, a vocal kind of part of who was spreading the word about things, but they have become such ever since Elon has become so outspoken, right? And the irony is they're all saying, everybody knows that the asset market, the equities market is totally overinflated. It should have been going down the last 4 years, but in fact, it got pumped up. And
well,
so
it did go down, right? And in the world of people are just so freaking dishonest. There has been a chart that's been going around of, I think it's the S&P 500.
Yeah,
which
it's
is,
the S&P 500.
up, way down, stay down here, way up, and then a little bit down, right? And this is what you're freaking out about.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you're honest about this, then no one should ever vote for a Democrat again, because Biden absolutely killed the stock market for a lengthy period of time. And it was only in mid-November, after Trump won an election, that it went back up anyway. So,
Yeah. It's just, hey, Sean's back. Sean, how you doing, brother?
Something.
You're back.
Yes.
You had to peace out, I was getting ready to come to you about.
Yeah, no, I'm
stuff.
sorry. I realized I was running up on a hard thing I had to take care of.
Yeah, no worries.
A lot sooner than I thought it was. Don, how are you?
Good. How was Sean? I've been missing you. Been enjoying the shit posting on Twitter.
How's the somewhat paroled life been?
Strangely quiet. Once it's funny what happened. Occasionally something will happen in relation to that's enough to really piss you off. Like, hey man, I've been publishing January 6th, gives and goes and GoFundMe's and what have you for years now. And then to watch a black guy who murdered a white kid get a few $100,000 in 36 hours is like, oh, well, fuck all of us.
Well, my favorite thing is Sean single-handedly popularizing the term afuera as the.
There's no T. There's no T. I've learned it's afuera.
Yeah, afuera. Yeah.
Afuera. So you gotta throw those things away. Yes. Well, Presidente Emilie got me on that. So there we go.
Well, I was just going to go to X and search for that real quick and see how many of your posts actually are the ones that are in the top. You're number 4 in my top posts, so congratulations.
Yeah. Oh, some people are asking. Yes, guys, there is laid back law today, so that will be at noon. So,
somebody asked if we should see anything from Iran this weekend. What you'll see is failed talks. Everyone wants to cross that T before we get into strikes. I will point out, because this is our show and I haven't done it in a while, that the Charles de Gaulle, France's only operational aircraft carrier and a very capable one, is all up in Djibouti right now, which is an unusual place to find a French aircraft carrier.
Is it though?
Is it though? The French always will slip into Djibouti when they get a chance. Yes. But my point is that it's in a very interesting place when you tie it with 2 American carrier strike groups on either side of it, and Diego Garcia sitting just to the south. So I would look for something early next week, Iran-wise. I think that everyone in the world has already decided there's going to be a war, but we have to have these talks on Saturday to pretend like we're trying to.
We have to parlay.
Yeah.
But yes, you would think it's the Greeks who would sneak into Djibouti, but it's just the French.
Well, a different kind of Djibouti.
Well, they do have the Lesbos connection.
Before you all say it, the Strait of Mandab, but it doesn't have the other little hole by Djibouti. So you have the 1 hole Djibouti and then the 2 hole.
Anyway, we were oddly enough, you came in right at the end here, Sean. Let me throw it to you and ask you. You know what, I remember what I was going to ask you. Hey, how's the courts treating old Donald Trump's? It seems like we've got some mixed messages out there with some of these legal decisions.
I mean, it's not really too mixed of a message. The entire Supreme Court has said, you guys way overdid this. You actually have to use the courts. And I think that obviously the judges are going to say you have to use us to, like, we are a separate but co-equal branch. The bigger thing, though, is the Supreme Court starting to tire of these TROs and the judges doing things the way they want to. That's the big takeaway. Now, yes, did they have flair the one guy down there and he had the removal order and they're like, you shouldn't have done that? Sure. And then the guys who right now their habeas petitions got filed in Texas. The Supreme Court has also said, yes, if you try to remove them without that, we will all of us will stop you. So overall, that's, okay, those questions have been addressed. But these judges, like with the one with the guy who got a flare wrongfully, it sounds like, until the order gets lifted. The Supreme Court said, you need to explain to us what exactly you meant because we don't know. And that's their way of saying, you really should make sure you say this the right way because we don't want to have to get involved. And the judge today or last night put out an order saying, you have to come in and explain to me what you've done to facilitate it. Now, notice the judge is smart enough to realize I can't tell them what to do, but they just have to do things. Now, I do think it's a little bit like, paying your income taxes. They're going to come in and tell the judge what they've done, and the judge is going to decide whether that's been good enough or not. So that'll be the interesting part.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, it's I've just been kind of scratching my head on it because I'm not smart enough to figure it all out on my own. That's why I have guys like you that I listen to your YouTube. So if you two are scratching your head at the inane judges that crisscross this great land of ours, check out Sean on.
I still scratch my head though too. So
because we all know that a single district court judge in outer Podunk, Oklahoma, has the exact same authority as the president of the United States.
Yes,
well, obviously,
right. Exactly right.
Yes.
Co-equal. Yes. All right.
That phrase is going to be real fun if anybody anywhere in the administration starts taking a look at what it means.
Yeah. Well, I feel like some of these judges need to get a fuerte as well. So,
well, look, man, in the world of the most unpopular things that you could ever do in the court's opinion, hey, I told you that you have to release MS-13 guy because of reasons. Like, oh, okay, cool. We've designated that guy as a terrorist, which, by the way, the administration can do pretty unilaterally, as we all have found out over the years. And so you are providing aid and comfort to the enemies of the United States, which, by the way, good luck with all of that immunity action. I mean, it's going to go well once SCOTUS starts saying, hey, you weren't allowed to do this. So by all means, you want to take that Gestapo that has been such a pain in the ass in the United States for the past, 30 years, and go do something positive with them. Just start arresting judges who are making unconstitutional orders that provide aid and comfort to the enemies of the United States. By the way, all you have to do is lay the charges. You don't have to get the conviction. Okay.
Yeah, exactly right. You just have to make a big deal about it. All right, guys, that's all I've got. Any
comedy show in the chat of all of the things about French seamen in Djibouti. It's just been good. So anyway,
you guys should look at having Bill Burper on. That guy outstands Stan. Yeah. Hey, if you feel free to email him and let him know to come on up.
I'm gonna chat with him if you really want that, but
yeah, that'd be cool.
We'll talk offline.
I don't know him, so. All right, gentlemen, that's all I've got today. Sean, I'm glad you could come in for the end. Hang around. Let's chat a little bit after the show is over. I appreciate you guys in the chat. You've been very generous today, helping us celebrate 500 episodes. We never planned on doing 500 episodes of the Council on Future Conflict. but it happened anyway, and I don't see us stopping anytime soon. Who knows? God willing, and the river don't rise, we shall continue on for another 500 or who knows how many more. I get a lot of satisfaction from doing this show. It's not so much of an ego thing; it's more of a like an outlet, right? Like I need a place where I can talk to like my guys around some of this stuff, because none of the people in my real life give it two shits about this stuff. So I know my daughters don't care about it. I mean, they already tell me, Dad, it's cringe AF that you're a YouTuber.
Have you considered just doing TikTok things?
I'll point out that at only one federal raid per 500 shows, we're doing pretty well.
Yeah, seriously, that's not bad.
That's true. That's true. Only one of us has been raided. Only one of us has turned state's evidence. So,
Yeah.
All right, guys. That's all I got for today. Thank you very much, chat.
$10 from Law Score, real quick before you go.
Yeah. There we go. Lost Court for $10. Do the legwork, and CFC will talk. How I got Viva to talk with CFC. Yeah, absolutely. That was awesome. And you know what? We need to like reach out to him again. I'd be interested to get his take on some of this Canada stuff, because Lord knows Canada, going to be part of northern Montana in the near future, probably. So,
right,
said it that way.
All right.
Which,
guys,
by the way, in the world of predictions, that's a bad idea. Okay.
Yeah.
Good talk. I've said it publicly on video here right now. It's a bad idea.
What, bringing Canada into the Union?
Yes.
Well, I think
even just Alberta.
Except Alberta.
Well, Alberta is the one we want anyway. That's where all the fucking oil is.
Okay, so I would like all of you to understand what you're asking for.
Oh, this show just going to 4 hours.
Another California.
Yes.
Yeah, I pointed this out. We don't need another, 35 million liberal votes.
And
100%.
A conservative Canadian too.
And we don't even need to make a territory or a new state. No. What we need is that one little useful piece of Alberta, and then incorporate that into Montana, and then you were good.
No,
that's
no.
how
I'd rather go frack the Eagle Basin than the tar sands. So,
well, somebody will buy the tar sands. I just like the idea that Canada doesn't have the tar sands anymore. I mean, could you imagine Canada going tits up if they lost their oil money?
Yeah, and a conservative Canadian is a central left person too.
Oh yeah, 100%.
All of you who hate the definitely conservative Californians that are moving to your state, basically everyone but me, that's what you're asking for. Just so you're clear, when you get it, remember that I told you that this is what you're getting.
On that note, on that bombshell, it's time to say goodnight, good night for me. Good morning for everybody else. Appreciate all of the very generous super chats in both Rumble and on YouTube. Thank you very much, guys. If you haven't done it already, please subscribe to my channel, either on YouTube or on Rumble, preferably both. We're also live on X, and we get a lot of 1,600 viewers. Most of those on X today. YouTube. The audience on YouTube sucks nowadays. Not you people, but I'm saying the ability to draw an audience on YouTube sucks. If you haven't done it, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, hit the bell for notifications, let people know that you're getting some good stuff over here. And then we're not going to be one of these fly by night channels. I mean, clearly 500 episodes means that we have a commitment to the community. So feel free to know that we will continue with that commitment going on into the future. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining. Thanks to all the guests who had to take off earlier, and chat. You guys know who you are. Thank you very much. That's all I got for today. So remember, stay safe.